Welcome back to the channel, US Rare Coins News, Top 1. Imagine pulling a big, bold silver dollar from your collection and realizing it celebrates 200 years of American independence. Not just any dollar, but the legendary 1776 to 1976 Eisenhower $1. A coin that carries history, patriotism, and collector excitement all in one powerful design. Today, we're diving deep into the story, rarity, and true collector value of this bicentennial masterpiece. And make sure you stay until the very end, because I'll reveal the real auction prices that might shock you. The 1776 to 1976 Eisenhower dollar was created to honor America's 200th birthday. Instead of a regular single date, this coin proudly displays the dual date 1776 to 1976 to mark the bicentennial of the United States. It was issued during the presidency of Gerald Ford and came at a time when the entire nation was celebrating 2 centuries since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The Eisenhower Dollar series itself began in 1971 to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the World War II Supreme Allied Commander and 34th President of the United States. By 1976, the U.S. Mint decided to redesign the reverse to create something special for the bicentennial celebration. On the obverse, you still see the strong profile of President Eisenhower, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo. His portrait is bold and commanding, symbolizing leadership and strength. Above his head is liberty, and below is the powerful dual date 1776 to 1976, reminding everyone of America's historic milestone. Now flip the coin over, and this is where the magic truly begins. Instead of the regular Apollo 11 eagle design, the reverse features the Liberty Bell superimposed over the moon. This design was created by Dennis R. Williams, whose initials DRW appear subtly on the coin. The Liberty Bell represents American independence, while the moon honors the Apollo 11 mission, connecting the birth of the nation with one of its greatest modern achievements. That combination makes this coin incredibly symbolic. It links 1776, the founding of the nation, with the space-age triumph of the 20th century. Few coins blend history and innovation so beautifully. Now let's talk about mints, because this is where collectors need to pay attention. The 1776 to 1976 Eisenhower dollar was produced at 3 different mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, Denver coins carry the D mint mark, San Francisco coins carry the S mint mark. But here's the key difference. Not all of these coins were made the same way. The Philadelphia and Denver versions were struck in copper-nickel clad for circulation. Millions were made, and many were heavily used in everyday transactions. Because of that, most examples today show where the San Francisco Mint produced special collector versions. These include 40% silver uncirculated coins and 40% silver-proof coins. These were sold directly to collectors and were never meant for circulation. That silver content alone already makes them more desirable. Condition is everything in coin collecting. A heavily circulated bicentennial Eisenhower dollar might only be worth a small premium over face value. But when you step into high mint state grades like MS66 or MS67, values rise significantly. Proof coins from San Francisco are also graded on a scale that includes deep cameo contrast. Coins with strong mirrored fields and frosted devices command higher premiums, and then there are errors. Some 1776 to 1976 Eisenhower dollars feature doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or other mint mistakes. These error coins are rare and highly sought after because each one is unique. A dramatic mint error can multiply the value several times over a standard example. Another interesting detail is that bicentennial Eisenhower dollars were actually struck in both 1975 and 1976, but no coins dated 1975 exist for this series. Every bicentennial dollar carries the dual date 1776 to 1976, even if it was minted in 1975. That alone makes this coin historically unique. Collectors also look for strong strike quality. Some Eisenhower dollars are known for weak strikes, especially in the hair details and the Liberty Bell lines. A sharply struck coin with full detail stands out and often receives higher grades. Now let's talk about market demand. The Eisenhower dollar series has gained renewed interest in recent years. Large dollar coins have a bold presence, and bicentennial issues are always popular because they connect directly to American heritage. Many collectors who grew up during the 1976 celebrations feel nostalgic about this coin. Silver versions tend to perform better in the market than clad examples, especially in top grades. Proof silver coins with deep cameo contrast are especially attractive to collectors building high-end sets. Now comes the part you've been waiting for. High-grade 1776 to 1976 Eisenhower dollars have achieved impressive auction results. A 1976 silver proof graded PR70 deep cameo has sold at auction for over $13,000. A top-grade MS67 clad example from Denver has brought more than $6,000. Even high-quality silver uncirculated examples graded MS69 have reached auction prices above $10,000. Those are real auction numbers for elite condition coins. So if you have a 1776 to 1976 Eisenhower dollar, don't just look at the date. Check the mint mark. Check the edge for silver content. Examine the condition carefully. And if it looks exceptional, professional grading could make a major difference. This coin isn't just a dollar. It's a celebration of 200 years of American history captured in metal. From the Liberty Bell to the moon, from Eisenhower's leadership to the bicentennial fireworks of 1976, this coin tells a powerful story. Top 2, today we're taking a deep dive into the 1978 Eisenhower dollar, its history, its design, its rarity, what makes certain examples valuable, and why this final year issue has become more important than many people realize. Stay with me all the way to the end, because I'll reveal the real auction prices that top condition examples have achieved. To understand the 1978 you have to understand the Eisenhower dollar series itself. The series began in 1971 to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the five-star general who led Allied forces in Europe during World War II and later became the 34th President of the United States. The coin was also a tribute to America's achievements in space exploration, particularly the Apollo 11 mission. By 1978, the Eisenhower dollar was nearing the end of its run. Americans had largely rejected large dollar coins in daily commerce. They were bulky, heavy, and not convenient for pockets or cash registers. The U.S. Mint was preparing to replace the Ike dollar with a smaller-sized dollar coin in 1979. That makes the 1978 issue historically important. It is the final regular issue Eisenhower dollar ever struck for circulation. The 1978 D was minted at the Denver Mint, which you can identify by the small d mint mark on the obverse. Millions were produced, but that number alone doesn't tell the full story. Let's talk about design. On the obverse, you'll find the strong, commanding portrait of President Eisenhower, designed by Frank Gasparo, who served as chief engraver of the United States Mint. Eisenhower's profile is bold and deeply engraved, giving the coin a powerful presence. Above him is Liberty. Below is the date 1978. The motto "In God We Trust" appears to the left of his neck. Turn the coin over and you'll see the famous Apollo 11 reverse design. An eagle is descending onto the lunar surface, holding an olive branch. The Earth floats dramatically in the background above the horizon. This design commemorates America's historic first moon landing in 1969. The eagle represents strength and peace, while the moon symbolizes human achievement and technological advancement. By 1978, this reverse design had become iconic. But because it was the final year of issue, collectors often view the 1978 D as the closing chapter of a short but historic series. Now here's where things get interesting. Most 1978 D Eisenhower dollars you'll find today were circulated. They show contact marks, scratches, dull luster, and sometimes weak strikes. Large coins like this tend to pick up heavy bag marks because they were stored and transported in bulk. That's why high-grade examples are much scarcer than people assume. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A circulated 1978 D is common. But an uncirculated example with blazing mint luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp strike details is a completely different story. Eisenhower dollars are notoriously difficult to find in superb gem condition. The large surface area makes them prone to nicks and abrasions. Even coins that look nice at first glance often fall short under professional grading standards. collectors especially look for strong detail in Eisenhower's hair and sharp definition on the eagle's feathers. Weak strikes are common in this series, so sharply struck coins stand out immediately. Another factor that drives value is grading. Coins graded MS65 are considered gem uncirculated. But when you move into MS66 and especially MS67 territory, rarity increases dramatically. Very few 1978D coins achieve the highest grades because of strike quality and surface preservation challenges, and then there are errors. Error coins always create excitement. Some 1978D Eisenhower dollars have been discovered with off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or other mint mistakes. Dramatic and visually obvious errors can command strong premiums because they are unique and eye-catching. There's also growing demand for high-end registry set coins. Advanced collectors compete to assemble the finest graded sets of Eisenhower dollars. When populations in top grades are low, competition increases, and so do prices. Now think about this for a moment. The 1978D is the final Denver issue of the Eisenhower dollar. It represents the end of the large dollar era before the introduction of the smaller Susan B. Anthony dollar in 1979. Final year coins often gain additional collector attention simply because they close a chapter in history. As time passes, more circulated examples become damaged or lost. High-grade survivors become increasingly important. If you have a 1978D Eisenhower dollar, here's what you should check. Look for strong mint luster that shines when tilted under light. Examine the cheek and jaw of Eisenhower for heavy marks. Inspect the eagle's breast and wings for clear feather detail. Check the rim for full, sharp edges. Search for unusual mint errors. If your coin appears exceptional, professional grading may unlock significantly higher value potential. Now let's talk about real auction numbers. Top condition 1978D Eisenhower dollars have achieved impressive results. An example graded MS67 has sold at auction for over $4,000. Even strong MS66 examples have brought more than $1,000 at major auctions when demand was high. Those are confirmed auction results for elite quality coins, and they show just how powerful condition can be. The 1978D Eisenhower dollar isn't just another big coin. It's the final chapter of a bold American series. It carries presidential history, space exploration symbolism, and end-of-era significance all in one large piece of copper-nickel metal. Top 3. Today we're diving deep into the 1974D Eisenhower $1, a bold, historic coin that carries presidential legacy, space-age symbolism, and surprising collector potential. This isn't just another old dollar. This is part of a short-lived series that marked a dramatic moment in U.S. coinage history. And if you stay with me until the very end, I'll reveal the real auction prices that top-grade examples of this coin have achieved. The Eisenhower Dollar series began in 1971, honoring the legacy of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of Allied Forces in Europe during World War II and the 34th President of the United States. The coin was also a tribute to America's triumph in space exploration. It was the first large dollar coin issued for circulation since the peace dollar ended in 1935. By 1974, the series was still in full production. The 1974D Eisenhower dollar was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark on the obverse beneath Eisenhower's portrait. Millions were minted for circulation, but large mintage numbers don't always tell the full story when it comes to long-term value. Let's talk about design. Because this coin is visually powerful. On the obverse, you'll see the strong profile of Dwight D. Eisenhower, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo. His portrait is firm, clean, and authoritative. Above him is liberty. Below is the date 1974. The national motto "In God We Trust" appears beside his neck. The overall design reflects leadership and strength, fitting for a five-star general turned president. Now flip the coin over, and you'll find one of the most iconic reverse designs in modern American coinage. An eagle descends toward the lunar surface, clutching an olive branch. The Earth rises in the distance above the moon's horizon. This design honors the Apollo 11 mission, when American astronauts first landed on the moon in 1969. The eagle symbolizes power and peace, while the lunar imagery reflects technological achievement and national pride. That combination of presidential tribute and space exploration gives the 1974 D Eisenhower Dollar a unique dual historical significance. But here's where things get interesting: the 1974 D was produced in copper-nickel-clad composition for circulation. Unlike certain San Francisco issues, it was not struck in 40% silver. So at first glance, many collectors assume it's just a common coin. However, Eisenhower dollars are known for something very important: condition rarity. These coins are large and heavy. Because of that, they were stored in bags and transported in bulk. This caused heavy contact marks, scratches, and surface abrasions. Even coins that were never officially circulated often show significant bag marks. That means truly high-grade examples are much scarcer than people expect. Collectors examine the 1974 D very carefully for strike quality. Weak strikes are common in the Eisenhower series. The hair above Eisenhower's ear often lacks sharp detail. On the reverse, the eagle's feathers and the Earth's details can appear soft. A sharply struck coin with full details immediately stands out. Luster is another critical factor. Original mint luster should appear vibrant and cartwheel smoothly under light. Dull or washed-out surfaces can lower the grade significantly. Then there's the issue of grading standards. In mint state 63 or 64, the coin may be fairly obtainable. In MS 65, it becomes more desirable. But when you reach MS 66 and especially MS 67, rarity increases dramatically. Population reports show far fewer coins surviving at those elite levels, and let's not forget errors. Some 1974 D Eisenhower dollars have been found with double dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. While not extremely common, dramatic errors can significantly increase collector demand. Error coins often command premiums because they are unique and visually striking. Another factor that makes the 1974 D interesting is its place within the short Eisenhower Dollar series. The entire series ran only from 1971 to 1978. That's a brief window in U.S. coinage history. Many collectors now build complete date and mint sets of Eisenhower dollars, and high-grade Denver issues are essential for competitive registry sets. Over time, circulated examples become more worn, damaged, or lost. High-quality survivors become increasingly important to collectors seeking the best. That if you have a 1974 D Eisenhower dollar, here's what you should look for. Check the cheek and jaw of Eisenhower for heavy marks. Inspect the fields for deep scratches or contact abrasions. Look closely at the hair details and the eagle's feathers. Tilt the coin under light to evaluate original luster. Examine the rim for full, sharp edges. Search carefully for unusual mint errors. That if your coin appears exceptionally clean and sharply struck, professional grading could make a major difference in its value potential. Now let's talk about real numbers, the part everyone waits for. High-grade 1974 D Eisenhower dollars have achieved impressive auction results. An example graded MS 67 has sold at auction for over $6,000. Even strong MS 66 specimens have brought more than $1,500 when demand was strong. Those are verified auction-level prices for elite condition coins, and they prove that condition is everything. The 1974 D Eisenhower dollar is more than just a large piece of copper nickel. It represents presidential leadership, the space race, and a bold era in American coin design. It marks a time when the United States honored both its military hero and its scientific achievements on one powerful coin. Top 4. Today we're going deep into the story, design, rarity, condition secrets, and true collector potential of the 1972 D Eisenhower dollar. And if you stay all the way until the end, I'll reveal the real auction prices that top-grade examples have achieved. To truly understand the 1972 D, we have to step back to the beginning of the Eisenhower Dollar series. In 1971, the United States Mint introduced the Eisenhower Dollar to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of Allied Forces in Europe during World War II and the 34th President of the United States. It was the first large-size dollar coin struck for circulation since the Peace Dollar series ended in 1935. By 1972, the series was still relatively new, and the Denver Mint struck millions of these coins for everyday commerce. You can identify the Denver issue by the small D mint mark located on the obverse beneath Eisenhower's portrait. At first glance, many collectors assume the 1972 D is common. And in circulated condition, that's generally true. But the deeper you look, the more interesting this coin becomes. Let's talk about the design, because this coin carries two powerful American stories at once. On the obverse, you see the strong and confident profile of Dwight D. Eisenhower, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo. The portrait feels bold and authoritative. Above him is Liberty. Below is the date 1972. The motto "In God We Trust" appears to the left of his neck. The design reflects leadership and national strength, fitting for a five-star general turned president. Turn the coin over, and you'll see one of the most iconic reverse designs in modern U.S. coinage. An eagle is descending toward the lunar surface, holding an olive branch. The Earth appears in the distance above the Moon's horizon. This reverse honors the Apollo 11 mission, the first successful manned moon landing in 1969. The eagle represents power and peace, while the lunar setting symbolizes American technological achievement. So on one coin, you have both presidential leadership and the triumph of space exploration. That alone gives the 1972 D historical depth. Now here's where collector value starts to separate ordinary from extraordinary. The 1972 D was struck in copper-nickel-clad composition for circulation. Unlike certain San Francisco issues of the series, it contains no silver. Because of that, many people underestimate it, but Eisenhower dollars are famous for one critical factor: condition rarity. These coins are large and heavy, with wide open fields. Because they were stored in bags and transported in bulk, they often developed heavy contact marks. Even coins that never truly circulated can show noticeable abrasions from rubbing against other coins. This means high-grade examples are much harder to find than raw mintage numbers suggest. Collectors look closely at several key areas when evaluating a 1972 D. First is strike quality. The Eisenhower series is known for weak strikes, particularly in the hair above Eisenhower's ear. On the reverse, the eagle's breast feathers and the details of the Earth can appear soft. A sharply struck coin with crisp details is much more desirable. Second is surface preservation. The cheek area of Eisenhower is a focal point for grading. Heavy marks there can drop the grade significantly. Clean, smooth surfaces dramatically increase eye appeal. Third is luster. Original mint luster should have a bright, cartwheel effect when rotated under light. Dull or washed-out surfaces lower collector demand. Now let's talk about grading levels, because this is where the real jump in value happens. In mint state 63 or 64, the coin may be relatively obtainable. In MS 65, it becomes a strong gem example. But when you move into MS 66 and especially MS 67 territory, rarity increases sharply. Population reports show far fewer 1972 D coins surviving in these elite grades compared to lower mint state levels. That's where registry set collectors enter the picture. Competitive collectors who build top-ranked Eisenhower dollar sets seek the finest known examples. When the supply of top-grade coins is limited, demand pushes prices higher, and then there are mint errors. The 1972 D Eisenhower dollar can sometimes be found with double dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. While dramatic errors are not common, when they do appear, they generate strong collector interest. A bold and visually obvious error can carry significant premiums. Another factor to consider is the growing appreciation for the Eisenhower series as a whole. For years, these coins were overlooked. But in recent times, collectors have begun recognizing the historical importance and relative short run of the series, which lasted only from 1971 to 1978. The 1972 D represents an early issue in that series, before the bicentennial redesign and before the final year of production. Early series coins often gain additional interest over time as collectors build complete date and mint mark sets. If you have a 1972 D Eisenhower dollar, here's what to check carefully. Examine Eisenhower's cheek and jawline for deep marks, inspect the hair detail above the ear for sharpness, look at the eagle's feathers for clear definition, tilt the coin under bright light to evaluate luster. Search for unusual doubling or mint errors, check the rim for full, clean edges. If your coin appears exceptionally clean, sharply struck, and highly lustrous, professional grading may be worth considering. Now let's get to the part everyone waits for, real auction results. High-grade 1972 D Eisenhower dollars have achieved impressive numbers at major auctions. An example graded MS-67 has sold for over $5,000. Even strong MS-66 specimens have brought more than $1,500 depending on market demand, and I appeal, those are confirmed auction prices for elite quality coins, and they demonstrate how dramatically value can increase based purely on condition. The 1972 D Eisenhower $1 is more than just a big coin from the 1970s. It represents presidential honor, the space race, and a bold chapter in American coinage history. While millions were made, only a tiny fraction survive in top condition. Top 5. Today, we're exploring the 1971 D Eisenhower $1, the very first Eisenhower dollar struck for circulation, and why this coin has captured the attention of collectors around the world. Stay with me until the end, because I'll reveal the actual auction prices that high-grade examples have commanded. The Eisenhower Dollar series began in 1971 as a tribute to Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Supreme Allied Commander in Europe during World War II and the 34th President of the United States. This coin marked the return of large dollar coins to American circulation after a gap of over 35 years. The previous large dollar, the peace dollar, had been minted between 1921 and 1935. The 1971 Eisenhower dollar was a bold statement, not just a coin, but a symbol of presidential leadership, American pride, and even space-age achievement. The 1971 D was minted at the Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark on the obverse beneath Eisenhower's neck. Millions were struck for everyday use, but its historical significance and design made it instantly appealing to collectors. At first glance, you might think it's just a large coin, but it carries stories that make it extraordinary. On the obverse, you'll see the distinguished profile of President Eisenhower, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo. The portrait is strong, confident, and captures Eisenhower's leadership presence. Above him is liberty, and to the left is the national motto "In God We Trust." The date 1971 appears beneath the portrait, marking the beginning of a new series. Every detail, from the lines of his hair to the contours of his face, reflects the artistry and precision of Gasparo's engraving. The reverse design takes collectors on a journey beyond Earth. The Apollo 11 reverse shows an eagle descending toward the lunar surface, clutching an olive branch in its talons. Above the eagle, the Earth hangs in the distance, a subtle but powerful reminder of the first manned moon landing in 1969. This combination of national pride, presidential tribute, and space exploration made the Eisenhower dollar unique in modern American coinage. Even though the 1971 D was made for circulation, condition quickly became the defining factor for its collector value. These coins were heavy, and large coins are prone to contact marks, scratches, and surface wear, whether in circulation or stored in bulk bags. That means the majority of 1971 D Eisenhower dollars are not in pristine condition today. For serious collectors, condition is everything. When evaluating a 1971 D, you want to look for crisp strike details. On the obverse, the hair above Eisenhower's ear is critical, and the cheek and jaw area often reveal where that can dramatically affect grade. On the reverse, the eagle's feathers, lunar surface details, and Earth's features are prime areas to inspect for sharpness and definition. Original mint luster is another key factor. A well-preserved coin will reflect light with a bright, cartwheel effect, giving it that almost new look even decades later. Coins that have dulled over time, or suffered surface abrasions, won't reach the same market value. Grading also plays a huge role. Circulated coins typically carry modest premiums over face value. But uncirculated coins graded MS-63 or MS-64 are already considered gem quality. When you step into MS-65 and above, rarity becomes evident. Few coins from 1971 D survive in MS-66 or MS-67 condition, especially with original luster intact and strike details fully preserved. Collectors also seek out errors. Some 1971 D Eisenhower dollars feature double dies, die cracks, or off-center strikes. Error coins are exciting because each is unique, and dramatic examples can command significant premiums. Even a small doubling on the date or lettering can elevate a coin from a common collector piece to a rare find. Another interesting detail about the 1971 D is that it was part of the first wave of Eisenhower dollar struck in copper-nickel clad composition. There were also special 40% silver collector issues from San Francisco that year. While the Denver issue doesn't contain silver, it carries historical importance as the first circulating Eisenhower dollar. That distinction makes it particularly significant for collectors building date and mint sets. Over time, the Eisenhower dollar series has gained renewed interest. Early issues, especially in high grade, are highly desirable. The 1971 D isn't just a coin, it's the start of a series that reflects presidential legacy, technological achievement, and bold American design. It's also an entry point for collectors who appreciate large, visually impressive coins. That if you happen to have a 1971 D Eisenhower dollar, here's what you should check: look for sharp strike details on Eisenhower's hair and cheek, inspect the eagle's feathers and earth for clear definition, evaluate the original mint luster, and check for any unusual mint errors. Coins meeting these criteria could be far more valuable than commonly assumed. Now let's get to the numbers, the part most collectors are curious about. High-grade 1971 D Eisenhower dollars have achieved impressive results at auction. An example graded MS-67, with exceptional strike and luster, has sold for over $4,000. Even strong MS-66 examples have brought prices above $1,500, depending on appeal and market demand. These are real auction numbers and show how dramatically condition and rarity influence value. The 1971 D Eisenhower $1 is more than just a coin. It's the first in a modern large dollar series, a tribute to an iconic president, and a reflection of America's space-age triumphs. While millions were struck, only a small fraction survive in top condition. That makes finding a gem-quality example both exciting and potentially rewarding. Before you overlook that large dollar coin sitting in a drawer or old collection, take a closer look. The difference between a common coin and a multi-thousand-dollar collectible can come down to sharp strike details, brilliant luster, and a few rare mint anomalies. If you enjoyed this in-depth look at the 1971 D Eisenhower $1, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, and share it with fellow collectors. That unassuming coin in your collection could be more valuable than you think.